What's going on, everybody? Hey, we are back at it. Crappie fishing season 2025 is upon us. Finished up the Bassmaster Elite Series last week up in Wisconsin. I'm back home and I'm ready to start crappie fishing. So we're gonna get out here on the lake today. Man, it's kind of chilly this morning. You see I got a hoodie on. It's still very much late summer in Tennessee, but feels like fall this morning. It's about 57 degrees. We're gonna get out here on the lake, see if we can find us a few crappie, see if we can figure out how to catch them. I'll keep this short and sweet. Y'all stay tuned. Let's go catch a few. Thank y'all for watching. We got a brush pile right here sitting in 12 feet of water, which is about the perfect depth for this time of year, in my opinion. It seems to be about where they want to be, about 12 foot. Typically a good place to start anyway. 12 to 14. There he is. That and got it. We're back. Man, it's been a while. I've been concentrating hard on the bass fishing this season and have not crappie fished in quite a while. So pretty black nose right there. I did make one cast in that pile off camera and got a really nice one. So that's number two. I don't have hardly any crappie in the freezer because I hadn't been crappie fishing, like I said. So we're gonna keep us a limit of them today if we can catch a limit. I think we can. If this pile right here is any indication, we should be able to. I'm sure it's not going to be easy. It's still, water temperature is still hot. It's been a really hot summer, so we'll have to work at it. I feel pretty sure about that, but I also think we can get the job done. I'm gonna let y'all see this pile right here. Y'all see that brush pile? Like I said, it's sitting in about 12 feet of water. Pretty good sized brush pile. Looks like there's two pieces of timber side by side. You see the fish sitting in it on my active target. And all I'm doing, I'm just got my range set on about 50 feet. I'm sitting back off of that pile about 35 feet. Just making a short little cast, watch my bait go down and just reel right over the top of that pile. A lot of fish coming up to look at it, not a lot of takers so far. I may have to adjust my split shot size a little bit. I may have to play around with colors a little bit. We'll get them dialed in. There we go. Another good crappie. Got him on old pink and purple. This water, y'all probably can't tell it on the camera. This water's got like a brown looking color to it. Almost like it's turning over, but it's not turning over. It's just this lake is this color this time of the year. Pretty black nose crappie. Perfect eating size fish. Bluegill got it that time. Y'all see that? So you pull up to these piles a lot of times in the summertime and late summer like this, and even into the fall, and you see just tons of stuff in the pile. You look right there, all those little small dots, little small fish, that's all bluegill. They get on the same stuff. Crappie and bluegill, they get on the same stuff, especially this time of the year. And after a lot of time of looking at different piles and different schools of fish, you'll learn to realize a lot of times your crappie will be sitting in one little spot, your bluegill will be sitting in one little spot. Your bluegill will be real aggressive. They'll just chase it and bump at it. A lot of times you can just keep reeling, and a crappie bite feels totally different than a bluegill bite. So, but they definitely run together. There we go. That crappie right there came up off the bottom and got it. I had come past the pile. I let it sink down into one last little piece of brush, and I saw him rise up off the bottom. That's something else I've noticed too, especially as these crappie in our lakes are getting fished for more and more. They're becoming more and more bottom related. So if you see some fish down there crawling around on the bottom, don't be scared to let your stuff get down there and give them a look at it. I mean, it's worth a try. Not always, but sometimes it'll be crappie sitting down there below all of that bluegill and all that other stuff. Them crappie are sitting down there being fat and lazy and wanting to pick up the scraps from everything else in the school. Let's talk about my setup right here while I'm trying to get these fish to bite. Today I'm throwing the 7'2" Mustad detector rod. Been using these rods for the past 4 or 5 years now. Absolutely the best crappie fishing rods I've ever put in my hand. Got a lot of buddies that I've turned on to these rods, and they'll all tell you these things are absolutely phenomenal. They're super lightweight, super sensitive, and for the most part fairly inexpensive, less than $100. Really, really good rods. I'll leave a link in the description of the video that'll take you to these rods and everything else I'm using. Also, I'm just using a 2500 size Daiwa reel. I'm using 7-pound vicious panfish braid tied to about a 6-foot leader of 4-pound vicious 100% fluorocarbon leader. And like I said, all that stuff, if you didn't quite catch it or you don't know where to find it, I'll leave a link to all of it in the description of the video. And if you got any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll be glad to try to help you if I can. Down here on the business end, we've got, I think that color might be called Twilight. It's just pink on bottom, purple on top. Trout magnet, little 1/64 ounce jig head, and a size number 5. That's actually a new split shot that I've run across. I got those at Bass Pro. It's called a clam shot, and it stays in place a lot better on your line. So you guys might want to check those out if you got a Bass Pro nearby. But super simple little setup. I get a lot of questions for those of you that might be new to the channel, or maybe I hadn't talked about this in a little bit, but I get a lot of questions as to why I use a split shot and why I don't just use a bigger jig head. Well, the reason is I want to keep my profile as small as possible. So if I go up to say I go up to a 1/8 ounce jig head, then I'm going to need to go up to a bigger bait, because that little bitty bait is going to look goofy on a 1/8 ounce jig head. So using that setup that I'm using, I'm able to use a little bitty jig head. I'm fishing for mostly black crappie. That's mostly what I fish for. And black crappie love a small bait. It's just the way it is. So I have found through a lot of trial and error that simple little rig with a little small jig head, a little small bait, and a little split shot, and I just vary my split shot depending on the day, depending on the mood of the fish, all the above. There he is. That's gonna be a crappie there. I knew I seen him sitting in there. A little bit of everything in that one. There's some bluegill, there's some bass, there's some crappie, but I knew I seen them crappie sitting in there. Fixing to do something to my bait. I'll show y'all what I'm fixing to do. I mean, yeah, that one bit it, but they're not. I can tell by the way they're reacting to it. They're not seeing it real good. And right now I'm throwing that natural colored bait. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take me a little bit of this Spike It chartreuse dipping dye, And I'm just going to dip the tail of that little trout magnet in chartreuse, just to give it a little more color, just so they can see it a little bit easier. And we're going to go right back in there. That ought to help a lot. A fish can't see, they can't bite what they can't see. And here's what you got to understand. The deeper you go in the water column, the less light penetration there is down there. Here they come. Come on. So the deeper you go in the water column, the less light penetration there is. So, you know, a little bitty, that's a little bitty 1-inch jig anyway. And I've got to keep that profile small. I already know from experience these fish probably wouldn't even bite a 2-inch size bait. There's another good fish right there. That's a good crappie. I can tell. Wait, he's fighting. He ain't that big. He's just a keeper size fish, but boy, they're good and thick. You can tell they've been eating. I'm gonna measure that one just to be sure, but I can already tell you he's probably a 10.5 incher. Yeah, right at 10.5 inches. Black nose crappie. I think every one I've caught so far has been a black nose. Really good eating size fish right there. Ain't nothing wrong with them. I'm gonna show y'all this school of fish right here. Y'all can see. I'll pan around right there. There's the top of that road bed. See where it's flat right there and kind of goes up on a rise. And I'll pan over to the left. You can see that brush pile. And those fish sitting right in that brush pile. Right there in the top. That's your crappie right there. I've got my forward range set on 50 feet. Sometimes I'll dial it into 40. But good school of fish. Like I said, I'm just casting it in there. Keep it right up above them fish's head. Just come right over the top of them. And when you get one chasing it, just keep it coming. Don't ever stop it. Don't ever do nothing silly. One starts chasing it, just keep it coming. Now see that little bit of chartreuse on that tail? That's 3 casts in a row. I mean, it's little things like that that make the difference. Now I want to show y'all something. That right there is how you know that. I didn't let that fish run with the bait. I felt a tick, I set the hook. That's how you know you got the right bait right there. When he's got it in the back of his throat right off the get-go, I mean, boom, just straight down the hatch. That fish was completely fooled. He completely thought, hey, that's a real minnow. I'm fixing to eat it. Another 10.5 incher. Perfect eater. Perfect eater. Same thing, drop it right down in there to them. Come right through the top of that school, and I'm just feeling for a little bit of pressure. I'm feeling for the slightest little tick, just like that right there. I mean, these ain't giants. Now that there came off. That's all right. There's more where he came from. More where he came from. These ain't giants, but they'll get the rust knocked off. There he is. There's one. That feels pretty decent there now. Oh yeah. That's a little better crappie there. That's what we're talking about. Y'all look how thick that fish is across his back. I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Just pretty and clean. Beautiful fish. I love to catch them. I've missed them. I have missed them. It was a long year on the Elite Series. I had a good season. For those of you that follow along, or maybe you don't, I finished 36th in Angler of the Year this year, which qualified me for the Bassmaster Classic in Knoxville next March. That's one of my biggest goals every season. Can't win a classic if you're not there. So that's really, really cool. Had a couple of top 10 sprinkled in this year. Finished, I think, 7th in the Bassmaster Classic in Texas this year. Finished 2nd at an event in North Carolina. Had a good season. It had some ups and downs. I had some really good finishes, and I had some not so good finishes. That's part of the game. But all in all, a really good season. I'm pretty proud of, well, I'm happy with how it went. I'm proud of how it went. Yeah, and I appreciate all you guys that follow along on the bass fishing side too. You know, it's funny. I started this YouTube thing just because I like teaching people and I like helping people, and fishing means a lot to me. I'm sure you can tell. I mean, I genuinely love this sport, and I want to spread that love with other people because it's just such a good hobby to have, and it's more than a hobby to me. It's something that I've devoted a big part of my life to. But I started this YouTube thing just to try to help people, and it's grown every year, and I still feel like we're helping people. I had no less than 10 people last week when I was in Wisconsin come up to me and say, hey man, we're super excited. We watch every single crappie fishing video. We can't wait for you to get home and start making some more crappie videos. I mean, I'm 13 hours from my home in Tennessee, and I got people coming up to me saying, man, we can't wait till you start making crappie videos again. So I mean, that's, I never would have dreamed that, you know. And my channel's not big in the grand scheme of things on YouTube, but we're reaching some people, and that's really cool. Really, really cool. So I guess I said all that to say this. I just appreciate you guys following along. It means a lot to me. I don't do this to try to make a bunch of money or certainly not get famous. I could care less about that, and I really don't care anything about that. I'm just a guy who loves to fish, and I like to share that with the world. There's another one. He came off. But anyway, we'll get back to fishing here. I just wanted to throw that in there. There we go. There's another crappie. Just another good keeper. Well, that little trout magnet. One bad little bait. I think a lot of the reason why, a lot of times when I clean these fish, I know it's a little bit nasty, but I'll cut their belly open and see what they've been feeding on, because that can tell you a lot about the bait you need to be throwing. A lot of times I find little bitty minnows. So reason for that is our shad spawn in my part of the country is roughly first, second week of May every year, and you get another fish. You get those young of the year shad. This year's shad at this point, they're probably about the same size as what that trout magnet is. So that's what those fish are feeding on. So you're matching the hatch is what's happening. So just another good solid fish. There's one. That's a pretty good crappie right there, I think. Could be another bass. I believe that's a crappie though. Yep. Get up in here, boy. Like I said about the others, just pretty eating size fish. I mean, nothing bad you can say about that. That's good filleting size. Oh, he didn't get it. That did though. Once again, like I was talking about a minute ago, I let it go to the bottom. And I saw one rise up off the bottom and get interested. And Come up there and smoked it. He just couldn't stand it. Another real good keeper. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap that one up. Kind of a quick little trip. Kind of getting back in the swing of things, to be honest with you. It took me 2 or 3 fish to get dialed in. Crappie fishing is a whole lot different than bass fishing, and I've been bass fishing, well, since spring. I hadn't crappie fished really since spring, so not a lot anyway. I went a couple of times throughout the summer, but I didn't get serious about it. But we fixing to get serious about it again. Talked about it a little bit in the video, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me and watching the videos. And I plan on doing a lot of crappie fishing this fall. My plan is to do a little more traveling this fall. I've got some invites to some really cool places to crappie fish, and I'm going to try my best to make good on those invites and take the cameras along and let you guys meet some folks and see some different scenery. And I plan to do some more guiding this fall as well. So if you're interested in that, shoot me an email. I'll leave it in the description of the video. Appreciate you guys watching. I hope you're catching them. I'd love to hear about it if you are. And I'll see you next time right here, Brandon Lester Fishing.